Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kop Four. Another week has passed and another week of content about Liverpool. A lot of it is bad right now, I'm going to be honest. A lot of bad news coming our way. We obviously have the PSG game, which we will be talking about. But the big breaking news coming out from Liverpool today is Andy Robertson will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. That is something we're going to be starting with. We're maybe going to talk a little bit about his career at Liverpool. How good is he in terms of the Premier League and in the world in terms of left backs? Because I think he is right up there. And then we're obviously going to be looking ahead a little bit to the Fulham game as well. But a lot to talk about. If you're new to the channel, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments. But lads, how are we? How are we all feeling at the minute?
Emotional.
Disappointed in every aspect of the club, nearly, mate.
Bit dejected, to be honest,
Yeah.
especially after this news. I know it's expected, but still hits you.
Yeah, it's been a rough ride the last 9 months. But yeah, I suppose that is the point that we need to kind of talk about from the very start. Andy Robertson leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. I would say in the last maybe 10 years, he's definitely in the conversation with Ashley Cole, Dennis Irwin, Patrice Evra, but he is the best left back in the Premier League of the last 10 years. And he is in the conversation, one of the best Premier League left backs of all time. In terms of like, what I would ask is, how important has he been to this Liverpool team? Obviously, this Liverpool team has been so successful. Max, I'll come to you first. Like, in terms of his importance, what do you think about Andy Robertson?
He's just been massive. The consistency that the guy's shown and the fact that he came in literally with not much expectation. I think he was signed for around 7 million from Hull City, who were relegated. And Alberto Moreno was the first choice around that time, if I remember. I think he comes in midway through that season and really just makes the spot his own. And from then, he never looked back. Probably I'd say 2018 to 2022 was his prime years. I know he dropped off a little bit. Probably the start of last season where we started to see him tail off. But honestly, his mentality, his leadership, even in recent years, he's been amazing. I just remember him flying down the wing. Some of his, going forward, his play, his assists, his crosses, super underrated for me. And I don't think people talk about that enough, especially in his prime. And I think we're going to miss him loads, to be honest.
100%. Brian, how are you feeling? I know you're a man that wears your heart on your sleeve. So how are you feeling?
A little bit emotional. Not that this wasn't expected, I think we all seen it coming, but I think it just does really spell the end of or maybe sort of the beginning of the end of the Jurgen Klopp era. So it was just a little bit sad. I think Andy Robertson is probably the best player to use as like the epitome of that sort of era, just hard working, determined, never give up sort of attitudes. And I think you've seen that in his sort of goodbye interview. It's kind of like business as usual until May. And that's what I absolutely love about him. He's just an absolute character off the pitch, but a workhorse on the pitch. And again, him and Trent as a fullback pairing, probably the greatest ever fullback pairing we've seen in Premier League history.
Liam, how are you feeling?
Yeah, expected news, like Max says. I don't think. Look, it's emotional news in terms of missing Robertson as right now. Probably we're going to miss him more in the dressing room than on the pitch. He obviously hasn't played too much this season. And actually, we've been talking in recent weeks about who's setting the standards at Liverpool. Andy Robertson is probably one of the leading contenders there. If anyone is going to try and keep the standards up, they seem to be getting lower and lower each passing month. But if there's going to be someone in the squad that keeps the standards up, it is Robertson, So we're missing, well, actually, when you think about it, over the next, 18 months, basically every single one of the players in our leadership group are probably going to be gone. So you're looking in terms of who's going to step up as the next leader. I'm not sure, but Robertson as a player over the course of his career at Liverpool, like Brian says, epitomizes the Jurgen Klopp player. When you think of a Jurgen Klopp goal as well, it's Robertson, it's Trent, high up the pitch. They were integral to the system. Everyone was really, you think probably Robertson, Trent, and Firmino. I would say are the three players. If you were to describe how the slot system worked, a Klopp system, not slot.
Definitely not Arne Slot anyway.
The Klopp system worked. You probably would go with them. Emotional, but definitely something that I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, Jamie. Just on, would you actually be happy for him on a personal point of view for him to leave and get more football elsewhere? Because I felt that at times this season. I feel like he should have had more minutes along the way.
Yeah, I think he definitely should have had more minutes. I think sometimes Kirk has been good, sometimes he's been bad. And I think the experience that he does have, that I think he would have been able to help us in some of our difficult moments this season. I think with Robertson and we were kind of talking about, say, him leaving now and maybe getting more football elsewhere. I think with this Liverpool team is, and I remember going back to seeing Andy Robertson in the Scotland game, and he was obviously upset, and he was talking about obviously Jota and the effect that it obviously had on him. I think for maybe some of this team, and I think even with Salah as well, I think that does would have impacted them. So I'd say for a lot of them right now, they feel like maybe it is the right moment to maybe move to something new and take on a new challenge. And I think obviously Andy Robertson was very close with Jota. He was obviously at his wedding. And I think for Robertson's sake, for everything that he's given to the club, like Brian, you touched on it there, he's probably the epitome of what it was to be a Jurgen Klopp signing, like hard work and like just did the right things all the time, always was prepared, mentally was always there. And yeah, I'm happy. I think fairy tale endings like this they're very difficult to get right in football. I think we're seeing that with Salah at the minute. But I think with Robertson, it might not be the way we obviously want to see him out, but at least we'll get to say goodbye, because not very often you get to say goodbye to many players and legends of the club. So with Salah and Robertson to be able to say goodbye to me in the season, I think that's important. So yeah, I'm delighted that that he's obviously getting the opportunity to move on, and obviously for everything that he's done for the club.
I just want to prompt something for the three of you here with this. It probably isn't a conversation for now, but you do really have to question why, to a degree, he was made the vice captain. Not off the fact that his leadership is obviously immense. I would say he's obviously up there with Van Dijk, but to make someone vice captain and then he's leaving the following year, or putting someone as the vice captain with an important role who doesn't really play. I don't know. What do you think about that? I don't know how I feel on it, in all honesty, because we kind of expected him to leave. He's been in the last year of his deal. He wasn't really going to play after Kirk has got signed. He played much less since the turn of the year, and he's our vice captain. I know with James Milner, at least he was always kind of getting on the pitch at some stage in a game, and he was the vice captain for years. But we already have to change that leadership group again, nearly.
Yeah, I think the split, I've always said that the split should have been much more even this season, or the process of making Kirkez number one left back should have been more gradual. I feel like we started the season, Kirkez was straight in, first game of the season. I thought that's slightly harsh on Robertson. Maybe give him 6 months to bed in, like Robertson actually had himself, and maybe we would have seen a better start for Kirkez. But yeah, I don't know what you think about that, Liam. If you think he should have had more minutes along the way, he could have left in January as well to Tottenham.
Yeah, he could have, and that was going to actually be the next question I asked, of where would he go, but I'll save that for a bit later on. But yeah, in terms of what Brian said, with was it the right decision for Robertson to be the vice captain? I'm not sure there was any leading contenders apart from him and Salah, but obviously both of them were going into the last year of their contract, weren't they? And then you could go with Alisson. I don't know what you lot think. I'm not happy. I don't really like the idea of keepers getting the armband. They can't really impact the game too much from all the way back there, can they? So I don't know. I feel like
I don't mind it. Listen, I think he was such an important part of the squad. Yeah, if someone had been, say if he wasn't given the captain's armband, he probably was next in line. Salah was then probably after. But I think it was the right decision from that point of view, because if you remember, last season, he was pretty important to us obviously winning the league. Do you know what I mean? He was still a crucial part of that that puzzle. And Max, you said it there, I absolutely would have been playing him at the start of the season and then slowly embedded Kirkez in. I think it would have helped Kirkez to see what it's like to play for a Liverpool team and understand his role within the team, because I feel like Kirkez now is learning on the job, and I think that has impacted his performances, especially at the start of the season, where he was getting a lot of criticism for maybe some of his rash tackles, and maybe he wasn't on the ball, he wasn't as good, and that maybe knocked his confidence a bit up until the turn of the year, where he's actually started to perform a little bit better. But listen, I think to go back to the point of Robertson, like he was going band for band with Trent in terms of assists. And you think about like Trent, the way we talk about Trent in terms of a generational player from a fullback position, the ability that he had in the ball. Like Robertson was going toe to toe with him for 2 or 3 seasons. Like the levels that he reached is something that I think is actually underappreciated, because Trent obviously got the limelight within that team because of he was the better fullback. It's like Mane and Salah. People obviously talk about Salah a lot more because obviously in that team he was the penalty taker. He was the one that everyone went to. But Mane and Robertson on that left side, like they were frightening together. They were absolutely unbelievable. What we would do to have 2 of them in their prime now would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I think Robertson would have expected more game time as well throughout the season. Maybe that's what, had his head slightly turned for January. But what's the Robertson moment that stands out for you guys, across his Liverpool career?
I think
for me... Go on, Brian.
I was just going to say, and it's actually probably not an outstanding moment in terms of what he's done, but, I think we all think of this one initially is the run against Manchester City always springs to my mind, where he just presses down their whole back line all the way from left back, and he's there at the right wing and obviously wins the ball back or it goes over Tron. But you just think, like, what a player, like what an absolute machine. And I think that for me, just again, I keep saying epitomizes, but that is literally what we loved in Jurgen Klopp players. You've seen it so much, but to have Robertson do it was just incredible to watch. I remember pissing myself laughing saying it, just thinking we are pissing about with obviously go on to be Centurions at that point. But yeah, incredible.
My favourite one was when he was time wasting and he laughing in Pickford's face.
Oh yeah.
He's one of those players that, when people talk about, he's like, you'd hate to play against him, but you love having him in your team. He was just so good at the dark arts that people obviously talk about nowadays. And they've been there. They're so important in football when you use them right. And I feel like he was the one that was able to do that. He was able to get, like, Russell other players. I remember he did it with Kyle Walker as well, where he got him annoyed. It was over in the corner flag. But just so many good moments, even the quality, but just the type of player he was, the type of personality that he brought to the club. And you could see that in how he played. And I mean, he came across so well all the time.
Yeah, he was like a fan on the pitch. That's how I describe it. Yeah. The passion that he showed. And underrated aspect for him is like a big game player. I can't really think of a big game where he let us down. No, he always seemed to turn up in big games, and like most
one of our most consistent players over the last since he joined, really. You know what I mean? He's definitely one of the most consistent players. I think he's the best left back that I've seen in the Premier League. I know you boys might have seen some more left backs. I probably saw the back end of Cole's career. I didn't see him at Arsenal or anything like that, but yeah, Robertson definitely. Where would you lot rank him, do you think? He's first for me. I don't think anybody even comes close in terms of what I've seen.
I'd go Ashley Cole first, personally.
I
think Dennis Irwin as well. It was probably a bit all for you.
Yeah, you're going way too far back now.
But Dennis Irwin, and obviously the Irish connection as well. But I don't know. You could easily put him top 2. Like, I think if you actually go through left backs throughout the world, you think of Marcelo, Jordi Alba, obviously Ashley Cole. I think he would be in that kind of top 5 conversation. He's got to
be in that conversation. He's not like the most flary player, so he probably won't get like the plaudits that a Marcelo or even he probably wouldn't even get the plaudits that like a David Alaba would get. But I think he's been more consistent over his career.
Well,
and
in my opinion, he's better than Roberto Carlos, and like people won't want to have that conversation, but I think he is. I think Roberto Carlos is overrated. He had a hell of a strike, but he couldn't defend. He was a winger naturally, and Robertson I think could do the stuff going forward, and he could obviously defend as well.
Robertson Carlos.
Well, let's just here's a cheeky stat for you anyway. We all know Trent obviously has the most assists in Premier League history with 64. Robertson's only 4 off him, but he actually clears 3rd place by 7 assists, which I think just again is incredible, because we talk about Trent having that natural ability in terms of his passing and everything like that. I think we've seen it the other night to Mbappe, but Robertson's just so hard working and that wand of a left foot nearly, it just The goal that stands out to me that he assists is the Salah one against City. Just lays it straight onto his head, and it's just how a player at left back can do that, pressing up the pitch and putting that sort of ball into the box for another player would look so absurd if Trent Alexander-Arnold wasn't in the same team.
Yeah,
they changed the fullback position, man. Like completely, both of them.
Revolutionized.
He had a lot of quality assists like that though, in terms of his deliveries. I think he had one for Firmino as well at Anfield when we played Spurs. He was good at corners. Like he's probably one of the most well-rounded players that we've seen at Liverpool in recent history as well. He can do, he doesn't really have any weaknesses in his game that I can think
shooting.
Oh yeah. You don't want to see him
goal against Wolves.
The one against Wolves is probably the first time out of those 500 shots he's taken on that's actually gone into the back of net and looked well. The most of them end up in Rosette or outside the stadium.
Does he go down?
We found his weakness.
Does he go down as the best bargain signing in Premier League history? Surely he's got to be
best Jurgen ever found
as well.
Yeah,
he's definitely up there. Oh, we were doing our quiz earlier on, and we had to do like what was it bargain signing? I think was the word we had to like do telepathically say what the same player is. He said Robertson, I said Salah. I was like, I think 30 million for everything you get with Salah, which was ridiculous. But Robertson's definitely up there.
That's another 100%. Part that I said though, like it was just so unexpected. Like I don't think anyone was that excited when we signed him because Hull were relegated.
In terms of exceeding expectations, like he's definitely
that's true.
And even like I say, in those first 6 months, I don't think he was making a lot of match day squads. So it was coming to the point where I was like, okay, he might just leave next summer. But as soon as he got into the team, he literally made it his own spot through sheer hard work.
Was it me and you, Liam? We were talking about this, but it was Kevin Stewart who went the other way to Hull City that summer. Yeah, and so if you actually think about Robertson was only like a couple of million, not even the 12 million fee. If you really, I think what was it, 8 million we ended up getting for Kevin Stewart, or maybe just a little bit less.
I think we signed Robertson for 8 million, and Kevin Stewart went for like 6. I feel like.
Wow, like incredible! What a player Kevin Stewart was. 2 million
for Andy Robertson. That is incredible.
Silly. Yeah. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're just joining in, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll read you a few of the comments as we go. Iona says top 5 left backs of all time. Yeah, 100. That I agree with that. For Karen says, for me, a best left back seen playing the Prem. Iona says, I take people will never accept, but true. Nuno Mendes and Hakimi would not play their roles without Robbo and Trent.
That's a great comment. I think that's a great comment.
I love that comment. Wow.
Yeah. What you're saying, without Trent and Robertson, we wouldn't have got battered.
They did pave the way 100%. Maybe Nuno and Hakimi are more physical, much more physical than Trent and Robbo, but the quality those guys had, just from delivery from set pieces into the box was crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose the next question is like, can we replace him? Is Kirkez the man to take over that mantle? Obviously, he's still young, but it's big shoes to fill. Like,
I think the better question is, if you're replacing the backup version that Andy Robertson is this season, is Tsimikas good enough to come back, or are we going to have to sign a left back in the summer? What do you boys reckon?
I think Tsimikas is good enough to be back up, to be honest. I know he gets a lot of stick, but he's actually contributed to some of the most important moments in Liverpool history when you think about
it. Yeah, I feel like he's in like a replacement or a backup player. You want someone that's not as similar. I feel like Kirkez and Tsimikas have very similar traits. Obviously, Kirkez exceeds Tsimikas in every attribute.
He's 29. He's 30 this year. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be coming in to do anything. That's what I mean. I
feel like with Robertson, you had that like balance of Robertson can come in and give us more control in matches, whereas Kirkez is going to be there getting stuck in, flying up and down the touchline like Robertson used to. So I'd look at getting another left back, but probably looking at more maybe like a hybrid centre back and left back. That would probably be like a Schlotterbeck. That would be the ideal signing in my opinion. So we can still. Go on.
If you're looking for versatility, there's a lad I've seen. He's playing for Brighton. He actually just broke the Premier League appearance record just recently. He can actually do a job at left back.
He can, certainly can. But with Konate obviously rumoured to be signing this new contract, maybe Joe Gomez could shift over and be a backup left back because he's done it quite a lot for Klopp. And I think he's all right in that position. But of course, injuries are an issue.
Yeah.
For me, Tsimikas, I don't like once a player goes out on loan, I don't want to have him back in the fold. Like, he's clearly not good enough. He's had some really good moments for us, but I think we need to get a backup left back 100%.
Yeah, 100%. No, definitely. But I think we've kind of touched on everything with Andy Robertson, like one of the Premier League all-time best left backs, one of Jurgen Klopp's best ever signings. And he's going to be missed by every single Liverpool fan.
100%.
So hopefully he'll enjoy the rest of his career, whether that's say in the Premier League or maybe might go back to Celtic, whatever it is. Maybe come over to Spain. Never know. But Max, you touched on it there. So I suppose some better news, depending on what way you look at it. Maybe not from his performances this season, but Konate signing a new contract, and it's contract negotiations that have went on for a long time. I think they've been saying that it's been 18 months in the pipeline. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. I think, there's rumours with Real Madrid, and if we didn't already have to do so much work in the summer in other positions, maybe you could have, let him go and then focus on another centre-back. But we've got, like I said before, Leone and Xhaka coming in. So we've got 4 centre-backs there. We should be all right for next season, and that just helps us focus on other areas. But Konate has been shocking at times this season. He's had some really good games for us. So it just depends what version of Konate you're going to get. I thought last night he was decent at times. Positionally got exposed a little bit, but for that tackle, the one that got given as a penalty, if he didn't make that, that's 3-0 and that's tie completely done. So maybe we have to thank him. And I'm happy personally that this one's done. I'm not sure how much money he'll be on a week, but it is what it is.
Yeah, he does have his clumsy moments, doesn't he? He always seems to be at the accident whenever we concede a goal, really. But no, when he has his good games, when he is at his best, like, he is one of the best defenders in the world, in my opinion. I think he's definitely one of the best channel defenders in the world. I forgot what I was gonna say now.
It was going to make me laugh a little bit, but the challenge that he actually makes that gets given as a penalty, obviously then overturned, I think is one of the best challenges you could possibly get from a centre-half, right? But it's funny because I actually later on think his push at the end, the last 2 minutes, is actually a stonewall penalty. And I'm
literally.
like, you are trying to
summed up, though. That's Konate summed up in 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? He make an unbelievable tackle and then he just do something like that, just push someone in the back. Just terrible.
I thought that was such a stonewall penalty.
Definitely the right choice keeping him on, though. Like Max says, you don't want to have to replace, like we did in the last summer, replacing too many players at once. You saw the impact it's had. So keeping enough of the squad together where we can just add bits. Xhaka coming in, French link as well. Hopefully he can be the understudy to Konate. I think they're quite similar profiles. I imagine he will be the sort of Konate replacement eventually. And then Leone will be a bit more of the Van Dijk on the left-hand side. But yeah, I'm definitely happy that Konate stays. And off the back of Robertson leaving too, and needing leaders to step up, Konate is going to have to be one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear what you think on this, Jamie. But I think Konate is the potential Van Dijk sort of replacement in terms of captaincy. I genuinely think he is a proper leader. It's just whether he can iron out a few flaws in his game. But I do think he loves to get the fans up for the game. I do think he knows how to command the back line. I potentially think he could be that Van Dijk sort of replacement at centre-half.
Yeah, I think he could be. I think if he's obviously staying now or extending with his contract, if he signed a new deal, I think that probably will take him to probably past his peak. I think he's like 27, if I'm not mistaken. He joined us when he was pretty young. But listen, I think any player that tries to replace Van Dijk is just going to have a tough time. But it's like Kirk's trying to replace Robertson. Do you know what I mean? We have such high standards because of what we've seen the last 10 years. Like, who's going to replace Salah? Who's going to replace Van Dijk? Who's going to replace Alisson? These are all players that they're going to be coming into a team that just aren't going to be able to reach those levels because those players went and done it. Do you know what I mean? I think with Konate, it's interesting because he's obviously kind of at the tail end of Van Dijk. He's learned from him. He's learned what it means to be a Liverpool centre-back. And I think what I'd like to see from Konate is that leadership quality, because I think he had it. I think he got himself up for it last night when he made the tackle and you could see him gesturing towards the crowd. But then sometimes it's about managing that as well and the emotion, because I think then he had a head rush, and that's why he went and pushed, because he was just trying to scramble to get back. But could he be a future captain? Potentially. I think he'd more be in that leadership group more than anything else. But I think the big thing next season is actually the fact that we'll have centre backs that can rotate. Max, you talked about it on Monday, and you were saying we Van Dijk hasn't been able to come out of the team essentially. Do you know what I mean? We've needed to play him almost every game, and when we have had to bring players in, it's been Robertson at centre back. Do you know what I mean? We haven't been able to actually use players in that position, and I think having competition similar to Gakpo this season, he hasn't had competition. Maybe that's why his level dropped off. I think if you're able to bring in Jacquard, Leone, and then you have Gomez there as well, it puts a little bit more pressure on him, but a healthy pressure to perform and not make those mistakes. So, listen, I think this season hasn't been good for a lot of Liverpool players, Konate included, but hopefully he can come back to his best next year. And I'm sure we'll come on to new manager talk as the continuing conversation every week. But yeah, is it that going to be with a new manager, or if we keep Slot, is it a new formation and we can get more out of him? But listen, Konate, he was unbelievable last year. He was one of the best centre backs in the league last year, and I think we just need to get him back to that level, because when he plays at that level, he's one of the best in the league and in the world.
He's such a confidence player for me. You can see it. As soon as he makes that first mistake, the guy's head goes completely, and then it's mistake after mistake. And that's been a huge issue. Too many individual errors which have led directly to goals from him. But you talk about the competition that we have at centre-back. You look in 21-22, I think we had 4 centre-backs who could fill in, who stayed fit: Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez, and who is the other one?
Konate.
Yeah, it would have been Konate. Yeah. So we had 4 there. And next season, hopefully, if all 4 of them can stay fit, I don't want to see Van Dijk starting against Barnsley at home in the FA Cup. No. What's that? We don't need that at all. Get the youngsters in.
Yeah, 100%. No, I definitely agree. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think we keep on coming back to it. It's going to be a big shake-up this summer. Konate is staying, which I think is positive, because a lot of us were thinking that he was gone. Robertson and Salah, I think we probably did know that they were going. Obviously, Alisson's going to be coming into the last year of his contract. Will he stay? Obviously, injuries or something, I think, in the last 2 years that have taken a big toll on him. And Alisson, for a keeper, is actually pretty young. I think he's only 33. So it's not that old. Do you know what I mean? But
I think him now again.
Yeah, it is the injuries. But I suppose we do have to talk about a particular result.
We tried to avoid it.
A particular, we got the 30 minutes, but we have to get into it now. But before we get into it, lads, if anyone joined in the comments, we have 20 people in, I think, there at the minute. So make sure to drop a like on the stream. Make sure to follow the Kop Four. We're here every Thursday and Monday at 7:00 for all the lies about Liverpool. PSG, lads. There was a little bit of optimism. We were getting a little bit excited on Monday in our match predictions. Max, you were pretty cool, calm, collected. You said 2-0 PSG. You were bang on.
Well done, Max.
Well done. You predicted our downfall.
Yeah, I told you so. And to be honest, it should have been much more than 2-0, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should have been. Absolutely. We got lucky. But I'm trying to think of where we should start. I suppose, right, I think the first place you had to start with, and we were doing a live on TikTok as well, and we were talking about it. The formation. I didn't think he was gonna go and play 5 at the back. I just couldn't rationalize it in my head. And the game that I was on Sky today, and I said it, I was like, the fact that he constantly talked about the last 9 months of how he wanted to play football, he wanted to be on the front foot. And he was saying against all these teams in the Premier League, they want to do long throw-ins and they wanted to time waste. And he goes to the team. He couldn't stop talking about how much they wanted to play football last season. And he plays the exact type of football that he hates. That is just so hypocritical on so many levels that I couldn't believe it when I seen it. But I'll come, Brian, I know you had a passionate match reaction yesterday. How are you feeling when you seen it? Yeah, he does, yeah.
Well, To build on what you said really quickly there, Jamie, he's specifically quoted PSG and Liverpool as the exact game he would want to watch and play over and over and over again. So to have that exact fixture pop up with, let's be honest, we have a lot of players fit. There was players there that could play football. So for me, I just thought it was an absolute embarrassment. Again, I'm not surprised. I have even less respect for the man himself now than ever. And I'm going to touch on why now in a second. But I had this conversation with Liam before the stream, and I said, he is touching an extremely dangerous border now with like his whole season last season nearly just being wiped in memory for me, because I am so sick and tired of him as a manager. But the way he treated Salah yesterday is absolutely disgraceful. And like, I'm not even saying it to rage bait here. I didn't think Salah should start. I didn't think Salah should start at all. But to not bring on Mo Salah, to have him warm up so intensely for the whole 90 minutes, and then bring on an 18-year-old trainee only, you are an absolute joke, man, Arne Slot. And I'm absolutely sick.
No, tell us how you really feel.
Get him on this stream. Honestly, I'm sick of him. I've never been more confident in the fact that man has to go, and everything he's doing to ruin Mohamed Salah's legacy he's a joke. He's embarrassed himself more than ever.
This is a Liverpool Football Club stream, not Mohamed Salah stream.
I know, but I think Mohamed Salah has again been one of the most important players over the last 10 years. And the fact that the way he did that is just, mind blowing for me, let alone the football itself. And we should have been battered about 5-0 if we're being honest with ourselves. PSG and Ousmane Dembele are the reason we're not out of this tie, nothing else.
100%.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot believe he went with that system though. Five at the back. Like we said, we were all on the live beforehand, looking at it thinking, will it be a 4? Will it be a 5? We're all hoping it's a 4. He's not played with a 5 like in his entire career, apart from one game in a cup match against Palace, where he just he openly admitted basically to throw in the game. He just thought, I'll do 5 at the back, chuck all the kids out there, go play. And then in the biggest game of the season, probably his biggest game, in terms of him needing a result for his job as well, probably like the biggest game of his career, he's just gone and changed the system. And to think that he's been so tactically stubborn like all season, and now this is the time where we're going to completely change everything. Like I cannot believe it at all.
I trained it for 2 days. 2 days. Yeah, training formation.
That's what I was going to come on to. Like I said, we're not even coached in a 4 at the back system. So how does he expect, to go to a 5 at the back in a couple of days against the best team in the world? And fair enough, if we were completely compact and didn't concede any chances, we were still as open as anything. We had 2 men in midfield. We had 2 men in midfield. I saw you tweet this, Liam. How can you go to that ground where they've got that midfield, the amount of rotations that they have, and the guy sets out in a 5-2-3 shape?
5-2-3, and especially with the two midfielders being McAllister and Gravenberch. I've said it so many times this season that McAllister and Gravenberch as a pair, because we play with that +1 at the back when we do have a 4, they get exposed so much because they just can't cover those long distances. No. And we were all saying before the game, I think everyone wanted us to pack the midfield to make those distances that they have to cover even shorter. He made them bigger. He made them even bigger on a massive pitch against PSG with those rotations. Like you say, a 5-2-3. They were on an island in the middle of the pitch. And as a manager, you should be trying to play to everyone's strengths. Apart from Frimpong and Kirkes, which players did he play to the strengths of there? Vert is on the right wing, basically. Or if you're looking at it as a 5-3-2, he was a right-sided striker. Ekitike is defending off the left. I didn't like it at all. I don't think there weren't a single positive that you can take from the system where you can go, oh, maybe we can do this next time and it can improve. I never want to see it again.
Yeah.
I don't think we will, to be fair. He definitely won't play like that at Anfield. But do you know what the epitome of it was for me? It was the 80th minute and Konate was pressing their centre-backs. Do you know how clueless or how dysfunctional a team has to be for your centre-back to be pressing? And then he was trying to wave other players to come up and help him. That's just a team that are just going out and just hoping for the best. They have no instructions. Anyway. They have no instructions of how they should be playing. And PSG, in fairness to them, you're playing against one of the best teams in possession teams in the world. And they will pick you apart if, at the best of time, if you're a good team that can defend, they will pick you apart. And if you have players that are running from say, a right centre-back position where he's trying to close down Kvaratskhelia. He leaves a gap in behind him. Konate then has to cover him behind. All it is just opening up the spaces for players that don't know where they should be at that moment in time. And I just think, for me, it just screamed of desperation. It screamed of a manager who knew his job was on the line with this tie, and that if he could facilitate some sort of way of getting the game back to Anfield where it wasn't 3, 4, or 5, then he will feel he has a chance. But this Liverpool team, it doesn't matter whether he plays 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 5 at the back, 20 at the back. It does not matter. They're not listening to what he is saying. So they're not going to be able to go out and play with confidence to go out and get a result in Anfield. And I think the only way we probably get a result is if PSG have an off day and we just live on a few moments. That's the only way.
We're going to have our best game of the season, probably best game under Slot. You know what? Going back to the 5 at the back thing as well. You know, when Gakpo, when he made that quadruple substitution, which again is extremely desperate, you know, if the manager's making 4 subs at once, something's gone wrong. I'm thinking, right, there'll be a change of system now or something. Maybe he'll take Gomez off. Gomez was on a yellow card, wasn't he? I was thinking maybe he'll go to the 4-2-2-2. He's just stuck everyone back with the exact same system. And the 2 players, like I said, that were the most tired because of the amount of distances they had to cover were McAllister and Gravenberch. They're the only 2 players that survived and didn't get subbed off. He brought on Jones for Szoboszlai, took off Verts. He said after the game that he did those subs to survive, but we got even worse. When those subs came on.
But Liam, like, this is my point as well, right? So you bring on Isak and then you take off Verts. What was the actual thinking in that? So you've brought on the danger man, but you've taken off all creative ability around it. So and Isak, in fairness to him, I thought he actually pressed quite well. I genuinely thought there was a willingness to try win the ball back, but again, he can't do much on his own up there. It's just so desperate from Slot, to be honest.
It was the most embarrassing 2-0 defeat I think I've ever seen.
100%.
They were actually taking the piss. They knew how many passes did they make. And you're right, Jamie, about the desperation. I've always felt like when a manager goes to a 5 at the back when they're under pressure in their job, it's just not a good look. I remember Arsene Wenger doing it for Arsenal and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doing it for Man United as well. It never looks great. And eventually, what happened to both of them? They had to leave soon after that. So the writing's on the wall, man. The writing's
it is. 100%.
Go on, Jamie. You can go to the next one.
I was just going to say, we've 31 people in the chat. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, folks, if you're just coming in. If you're new to the channel, we're here every Monday and Thursday. But listen, I think Arne Slot, we know how bad he is, and we could probably sit here for the next 2 hours and talk about him. And I think he, like as we said there, it's desperate. I think he knows what's coming, and I just think he's trying to hang on for his dear life to probably get his compensation. I'll just do a few comments first, and then I think we could maybe talk about some of the players, because I think formation-wise, definitely we didn't play to their strengths, but I think some players maybe I don't think were up to the level last night, and we need to talk about a few of them. But we'll listen to a few of the comments. So I respect them playing that formation, though, as we were the worst team, so we had to try and defend and try and keep a low score line for the second leg. I am Slot out, but respect what he did. Anyone have any opinions?
That's what I was going to say about the 5 about the 5 at the back thing. I said it in the live before when we were on the live on TikTok yesterday. When we were thinking, will it be a 5 at the back? Even I said, someone who, I don't claim to have any deep knowledge about football. I'm not, a manager, a head coach, to even a semi-pro level. But the 5 at the back. Oh, but I've lost my train of thought again. The 5 at the back. I'm gonna get it back. Even I said before the live, if you go with 5 at the back, yes, it adds another player into defence, but then you just leave the PSG players, the technical players, the ability to just dictate the middle of the pitch. And the likes of, I said it in the last Kop Four live, the likes of Dembele, we saw Haaland dropping deep against us last game, and I said, imagine Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, and we saw exactly that. So how can someone who isn't in like a head coach position at all, I understand very little about football, how can I notice that? And Slot doesn't. Did he consider that before the game?
Yeah.
Respect to that comment, Jonas. Like I said, like if he went with that and we limited their chances, I would have had respect for him, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's he didn't like when you play that way. It's to limit a team, to stop a team. But we went out and played that way. We offered zero attacking threat, and only for the fact that they didn't. They actually looked like they weren't arsed. Like they were just like it was a kick about for them. You know what I mean?
Second gear the whole game.
If they had played with the same intensity, say that we played like last year's tie-in, then that would have been 4 or 5. Do you know what I mean? And then you talk about the penalties. Konate's one that was overturned, like that easily could have been given as a penalty. Do you know what I mean? If like you never know with VAR, and then the push in the back was probably another penalty, then it's 3 or 4 already. Do you know what I mean? He got lucky that it was only 2-0, and he admitted that in fairness to him in his post match. He said we got absolutely killed, and that's the way it is. But
I scored definitely. He had that one where he skied over the bar. You know, the one that got set back to him. And and he skied it over the bar.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think we have to give a lot of respect to PSG though, because they, even though playing in second gear, like I could not get over how incredible that pass from João Neves into Kvaratskhelia was. Like the way they play football is just a different level altogether. I've seen Max's video, but they were genuinely just taking the piss out of us. They just did not respect us in any way.
Was that the 20th minute that that he was doing the flick with the shoulder?
I think it was. Yeah, it was dark, mate. And honestly, like it got to a point in the game where you just sit back and you're like, I'm just admiring this, just how good they are. I wasn't even watching it for Liverpool. I was watching it for them.
Yeah, 100%. But listen, I think it'll be interesting to see what way he sets up next week. Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that on Monday, I would say. Do we have a chance? But I think we need to come on to some of these players because, listen, I think Arne Slot 100%. He's not getting enough out of these players, but some of these players right now aren't performing to the level that they should be. And I think from what we've seen over the last few years, we've talked a little bit about it on this live, you need to have, when you're playing at the elite level, Carragher touched on it last night, you need to have drive. You need to have work ethic. You want to have to fucking get stuck in. And I think some of these players are happy enough that they're good footballers, but they don't want to put in like shifts. They would they survive under Jurgen Klopp is what I usually start to think of. Like I see some of the work rate off the ball and how easy it is to play through us. And I think some of that comes from formation, but some of it comes from just like laziness. Do you know what I mean?
Lack of effort.
Lack of effort. And you look at this PSG team now, okay? They had a team of superstars, the Messi, the Neymars, the Mbappes, but they didn't have the work ethic. And that's why they weren't successful in Europe. That's why they were obviously still able to win their league because it's not competitive. But like they didn't have the work ethic when it came against the good teams. And this is what this Liverpool team don't have. Never mind against the teams that are like smaller. Against the really good teams, we don't have that work ethic. I think we've seen that last night. Like, I know, Brian, I'll come on to you because I know you were going mad about Ekitike. But I think he was one of probably a few. I think Wirtz on the ball probably wasn't the best. I think off the ball as well, he didn't work hard enough. I think you could probably look at the physicality of McAllister and Gravenberch in there. I know it was a 2 against a really good midfield, but like physically they just didn't look like they were at it. And Szoboszlai, who I thought definitely had more in him, but like, yeah, what are your thoughts on some of the performances, some of the work ethic that we're seeing from the team?
I would agree with most of what you said. I do think Florian Wirtz, though, I don't want to say the word immune from criticism, but I thought he was probably our best player on the pitch other than possibly Konate and the 2 fullbacks. Like, for the limited options that he had, his ball carrying ability is just incredible to watch. I think we see that chance he plays into Ekitike. But overall, every player on the pitch, Ekitike, just pure laziness. The flicks are very irritating to watch because they never come off. I think you see the one where Kirk is on the overlap. It could be easy to play in and he just skies it over the bar. And it's getting to be really, really poor to watch overall from these players. I think I feel for McAllister a lot in one sense because he doesn't look like a player who doesn't want to try. He looks like a player who wants to give 100%, but just can't do it anymore. And that's what probably hurts the most for me with McAllister because again, last season, one of the best midfielders in the league, if not the world. But yeah, he really looks miles off it now.
Yeah, McAllister, at least like, you know, when he was in his best physical condition, he wants to get stuck into players, but he can't do that anymore. Like physically, he literally can't. Gravenberch was a bit of a fairy out there for me. Didn't do enough.
You gave him criticism as well after the City game. I mean, that wasn't his best game.
Yeah, no, he's been disappointing for me, especially in recent months. I think it's a common theme throughout the team, really. And moving on to Ekatike, it's just the basics. I feel like he's not doing very well at the minute. We know he's got the ability to do these crazy flicks and stuff, but I roll it back to Firmino. Firmino had the ability to do it as well, but also if a 5-yard pass was on where you could lay it off to someone, Firmino's doing that all the time. Ekatike, I think maybe he's feeling himself a little bit too much now, and the ego might be there. And like I say, maybe that's a theme within this team. Szoboszlai as well. I see that in him. Not so much Wirtz. I thought Wirtz was actually, like Brian said, one of our better players, but didn't have much going on around him, did he?
Liam, what are you thinking?
I was saying it to Brian earlier. Like, I think we're getting to the point now where, and maybe it is because of Slot, but a lot of these players I think are pretty unlikable. In my opinion, I don't feel, a lot of people in recent weeks have been talking about a disconnect between like the club and themselves. I don't feel that. I just feel a disconnect between. I don't think the players, they're not showing enough. Like we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Like when Jones was putting something on Woodman's head when he's coming on. Like none of these players are taking it seriously. And maybe you don't want to play for the manager, but you play for the fans. You play for the badge. You play for Liverpool. You've got to represent the club. I don't think there's many players that are doing that. Kirk's probably one of the only ones, in my opinion, that can, in terms of working hard every single game. I do agree with the McAllister thing. Like McAllister does want to get stuck in. He just can't, unfortunately. And that's why I talk about us needing to, pack the midfield short on the distances. Gravenberch has never really had any want to defend, I don't think, or defensive awareness either. That's why Klopp didn't play him in the first season. Slot obviously found a new role for him, but I don't think that is his long-term role. Don't know what you lot think. I'd much rather see him in that number 8 position, but I'm not sure. He's got that new contract, but I'm not sure he's a long-term starter in the team either. For me, anyway, I'd have Szoboszlai in that pivot next to a more defensive midfielder, someone that's going to give us that solidity. But
I saw this tweet, which was like Gravenberch is only on less money than Kvaratskhelia and Dembele for PSG, which says a lot.
Wow.
You start thinking, was that contract the right thing? I love him. I think he's so talented, but there was probably a reason why Klopp didn't really use him that much. I think he doesn't want to do the dirty work. And last year, a lot of the in-possession stuff kind of overlooked that, and now he's getting found out of possession so much.
No, yeah, I agree. I think, you know what? Liverpool in the last kind of 10 years, we were a team that obviously when Klopp came in, we were on the up, but we had like the flexibility to make mistakes. I think right now that when you're at the top and when you're competing to be at the top, I think mistakes are a lot more difficult to get out. And I think obviously financial fair play comes into this as well, because if you're paying loads of players, average players, big money contracts, or you're not 100% right of what they are, then you could get stuck with them on big money. I think that's why, like, for me, I was uncomfortable last season with Salah getting 400k a week, with Van Dijk getting 350k a week. Not because I didn't think that they deserved it, but because I think it set a precedent then that other players that are average want similar or higher earnings. So you look at then, after that was signed, Cody Gakpo, 250k a week, Gravenberch, 285k a week. I think Diaz was looking for something similar and they said no and they got the money for him. Fair enough. But like, it won't be long now before Szoboszlai is looking for that. I'd say Konate is looking for something similar. And that's my problem with the way Liverpool have gone about this. Because I think to compete at the top of European football, you have to pay the big wages, but you have to be so sure that the player you're giving those wages to, that they deserve it. And that they deserve it going forward, not for what they've done in the past. Because if you get stuck with a player that isn't thinking about what's ahead, then they're just going to sit there, because no one else is going to pay Gravenberch 300 grand a week. You know what I mean? No one is going to give him that contract. Same with Konate. Konate is 20, he's 26 now, 27 he's coming up to. And if he gets a 300 grand a week contract for 5 years, he's not leaving until that contract is finished. You know what I mean? No. So it's a way of, I think, going about and managing the club, which I think it was easier when we were on the way up, but now you're at a different scenario. You're playing with the big boys now, and you have to manage that a lot better. I think that's something where we're struggling with a little bit right now.
Well, I think even when you look at transfer fees, obviously what we paid last year, and I know we made a lot of it back on sales, but I think a lot of clubs in the transfer market are going to now Liverpool need to address a lot of problems, and again, it just ups the price massively. Knowing now that we also pay huge wages, understandably, you might have Jeremy Jacket, for example, who we paid, I would say, big enough money for. Probably not in today's market, big money, but I would imagine his wages aren't particularly high, but we're going to have to go out and get the best of the best. And again, you're paying high wages, a high transfer fee, all because everybody knows Liverpool have money to spend now, where over the last couple of years, it never really mattered, or seemed to matter anyway, how much we had. We are always able to get a good deal, or we're always able to pay decent wages, but maybe not getting the best of the best. Like we didn't sign Isak and we get a Nunes perhaps in that situation.
Joe, I just want to ask about the kind of transfer policy, because it is a change. Do you think it's the right change to go from signing players that are, I wouldn't say like, they're not like players like obviously Salah, Mane, players that are hungry to come and do the business, but they're not proven. You know what I mean? I feel like Isak was obviously proven in the Premier League. He was obviously at Newcastle and he comes in for like a record money signing. I think Wirtz is a different one because he's obviously playing with Bayer Leverkusen, and I think he's someone that can obviously come good. He has a lot of time. But like signing players for lower money, lower wages, and have that like ability or want to go and prove themselves, do you think that's what we should be sticking with? Or like coming into the summer, should we be going out and sign like those kind of elite players that are going to obviously cost more, as Brian said?
I think, last summer was the first time where I thought this is serious now. We paid big bucks for some signings who you could say both of them are world class, Isak and Wirtz. It didn't feel very Liverpool like though, and that was the kind of issue. It was like the unknown of how is this going to work. We always signed those players, like you say, Salah and Mane, who had potential, but they could upgrade and go to the next level, and that's what we were under Jurgen Klopp. Everyone kind of knew that role, even like Jota coming in from Wolves. So many players like that. And if we're going to continue to go down that route, who knows? I mean, I hate to say it, but United done it. Obviously, that hurt them a lot for the past decade. So I really don't want to go down a route like that where you overpay for players and you pay too much transfer fees. But you know, if you do look in the future, that is a possibility. If we get Europa League for next season, it could be a slippery slope. I've always said that.
Yeah, well, that's where you look at. You've missed out on a player like Mbeumo last summer. Like I would have said, he's probably the closest thing you'll get to a Salah replacement that isn't, you know, a top player like Elise. So in terms of what you're looking to sign this summer, it's hard. I think we probably have to shop for somebody that is experienced and that you would expect to be the best of the best, because there are so many issues. But then you run the risk of, are you signing a player and they're, you know, they have an ego that comes with that price tag, like we've got last summer.
Yeah.
So
I think the summer that's just gone was a bit different because we almost had to improve the squad instantly because we had Van Dijk with 2 years left, Salah with 2 years left. We've invested so heavily into them, you know, like Jamie said, 400 grand a week for the pair of them, I think. So we had to bring players in. Obviously, I think the expectation from everyone at the start of the season was that we were going to win. We were probably going to start to build a dynasty, you know, under Slot, win the next. There was a real opportunity to win the next 4.
Take me back.
Titles.
Take me back to the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
The first 5 games. Just leave that in isolation and forget the rest.
But going forward, I would definitely like to see us go back to that old policy of buying the next big star.
But
I think that's what we're doing with Xhaka and Leone.
Yeah, for sure. We were the champions though, so the expectation was like, and I'm a hypocrite because I remember after so many seasons with Klopp, like after we won the Champions League, I was like, right, this is the time to kick on and sign a world-class player.
We got Adrian.
But I mean, we got like 99 points the next season and won the Premier League, so it kind of worked out that way. But yeah, Liverpool, I think, being in that league is, you know, in that kind of bracket, it feels weird at times.
It does feel weird. I think it comes back to more like the ethos of the club. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool is not, and I remember, I don't know if you've seen the video from the Anfield wrap, and they were talking about like some of the players. I remember he was saying about Szoboszlai after we lost to Brighton, he goes on international break and then puts up like a 300 grand watch as like an ad. Like stuff like that. It's just like, I feel Liverpool
Liverpool,
aren't, they're not flashy. You know what I mean? It's more about like going in, doing the work, getting the job done, and then moving on and being proud with the work that you're doing, putting in the effort to go and be proud of the community that you have and the what you're achieving together. It's not about being flashy. And I think that's something that this Liverpool team is probably leaning a bit more to the side of the flashiness, the slickness, the media. Do you know what I mean? It's just it doesn't sit right. And I think that's why the summer probably didn't sit with me as well. Like, listen, I'm not similar to you, Max. I was a hypocrite. I was excited with obviously the signing, the quality of players that are coming in, as any fan would be. But like, you want the players that are coming in. And I think this is something going into next summer. The players need to be the right mental group of players. Players that are willing to come in, that aren't just like the quality, that don't just have the quality, but also mentally are ready to come in and fight and get back to work, get back to basics. Because I think that's something that is just so important, and it's something that we haven't had this season from this whole group of players. So yeah, it's going to be a weird summer in terms of transfers, but yeah, it's very unlike Liverpool this season. And I think to go back to the PSG game, yeah, we've obviously the second leg now coming up, and we'll see how that goes.
Big game on the weekend as well. One that
Big
we
game on the
definitely need to
weekend.
win. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think the worst part about us losing 2-0 to PSG is that Slot will still think that we have a chance in this second leg. So I feel like we could heavily rotate on the weekend, and then that could cost us our Champions League spot. I don't know who.
That can ruin me and Max's day.
Yeah. Could be a rough day, Brian, mate.
Yeah. Well, Isak might start. He might bring Salah back into the team. The quality is there. You know what I mean?
100%.
I think the quality, and that's like, say with this team, we've talked about it so much. The quality of these players is undoubtful. It's just the application, I think, for some of them. But we'll talk about Fulham now. We're coming into Fulham. But we've 30 people in the chat. If you're new to the channel, as always, drop a like, subscribe. We want to make this the biggest Liverpool community out there. We want to go absolutely supernova. We have so much content coming from now until the end of the season and into the summer and into next season. So make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new. But Fulham, it's almost like, do we have to do it again? Do we have to go to watch another game of football? But I think these Liverpool players have been on such a bad run. They have to go out and prove something now. Three bad defeats since the Galatasaray game. Are we hopeful? Do we think there's a result there? What do we think is going to happen? How are we feeling about Saturday?
Not hopeful. I think, to be completely honest as well, with the whole the protests and stuff I've seen are going to be happening, and obviously there's not going to be any flags on the Kop, or I think there'll only be Hillsborough related ones. But yeah, I think it's just spelling out for either the most obvious 2-2 draw or the most obvious 3-1 Fulham win. I actually, and I hate to say it, I really don't see a world in which Liverpool win the game, which is mad to say. At Anfield, Slot hasn't beaten Fulham in his whole time at Liverpool. It's not looking good. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I've always felt like Fulham do quite well against us, especially their manager, Marco Silva. Sets out well against us. Last year was a difficult game where we grabbed a 2-2 draw, and yeah, I'm not feeling too confident, I'll be honest. I think Fulham are quite a good team, and they're getting to that point now where, you know, they could be on the beach because they haven't got much to play for. You could.
I think they've still got Europe to play for. You know, I haven't looked at the league. Okay. A few weeks ago, they had Europe to play for.
Fair. But yeah, in and around mid-table, you could catch them not being as motivated. Or on the flip side, they could have that freedom to come to Anfield and just play us off the park completely because they've got the players to do so. But I look at our bench yesterday, to be fair. It's not like we haven't got the players to rotate and bring in some quality. So, yeah, I think we'll need to see some rotations for sure.
Yeah, they're 5 points behind us if they win. Sorry, 2 points behind us if they win.
They're trying to catch us.
So what? How far are they off the European places then? Like, with a win?
Well, if they win, they're like, they can easily move up to sixth, I think.
Really?
No, sorry, 7 is the highest they can go if they beat us.
A lot to play for. I think on paper, with it being at Anfield, it probably is one of our most favourable fixtures now between now and the end of the season, isn't it? We've got Brentford, Palace, and Fulham at home in the league. So it feels like this has to be the game. If we're going to build some momentum in the league between now and the end of the season, we have to see a good performance from everyone. You know, especially going into if we want any chance of winning that going through in that second leg against PSG too. Confidence has to be built in this game. We need to see a really good performance. I'm not confident of seeing one like Brian said. Slot has never beaten Fulham, but like Max says, Fulham do really well against Liverpool, even under Klopp, the back end of Klopp's tenure. So Fulham are going to be, I imagine, pretty confident coming into it. I am not confident going into it, but yeah.
What do we do with the lineup then? How do you say?
There will be rotation. Won't it?
Five at the back.
Five at the back.
It's a 4-2-3-1. Surely
he's perfected his 5 at the back for PSG.
Surely it's Rio, Salah, and Isak as like the attacking three.
Gakpo,
really? I think he starts Ingamala.
Well, it depends. Like
he might start Gakpo as striker if he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to risk Isak.
Yeah, true. Actually,
you don't want to get into it too early now. You don't want to get into it too early now, but it obviously depends on who we want to play for the PSG game as well. Like, do you think if Gakpo is Gakpo going to start Anfield in the second leg?
Potentially, yeah.
I think Salah's probably going to start at Anfield for the second leg as well. He's probably going to have.
He better start. I'll tell you that.
He has to.
And for the second leg against PSG.
I'm on Brian's side now. I'll always agree that the Salah should be starting at home games, but away from home.
No.
Jamie ain't too happy with that.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
So is Max joining me here?
3-on-1, mate. 3-on-1.
Congratulations, 3 are wrong.
To be fair, though, against PSG, it could be that 4-2-2-2 with Vert, Szoboszlai as the 10s and Isak Ekitike if Isak's ready, but. That'll be cool to see.
I think whatever way we set up, I think he should probably start the same way against PSG. So whether that's like in terms of formation, and then use that and just try and figure some things out. Because like regardless, we're gonna have to obviously come out against PSG, so we have to be on the front foot. But to be on the front foot, you need to obviously create something. I think that we need to get our confidence back in terms of attack and play, and that comes with the game against Fulham. In terms of like formation, I wouldn't be surprised if Jones starts in midfield, maybe take McAllister out. Like McAllister, I was looking at his age there. He's only 27. He's only turned 27.
It's crazy.
It's mental. I'd love to ask him and just be like, or to someone to ask him, just be like, why are you like dead? Like, why can't you run? Just ask him. Just be like, what do you think is going wrong? Because like, there's no way. It's similar to what you said about Firmino. Just how is a player that was so good? Like just go off a cliff so quickly. He
must be carrying an injury.
Well, it's the preseason one, isn't it? He doesn't return to preseason. He's very laid back.
He didn't play the back end of last season. He got taken out.
He got surgery, didn't he?
Yeah, but what was it on? Was that ever disclosed? Like what he had?
I think it was his back. Back.
Carrying the team in 24-25.
He was, to be fair. No, yesterday when he was on. Went to the touchline. Was it Doué? He just skipped past him.
Oh yeah, and he was so late.
They just take him out.
Takes him out. Yeah, I was getting flashbacks.
That's been the story of our season. Like he is just that 1 second late every challenge, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I think Robertson will come in for this Fulham game though.
Yeah, Kirkes was cramping up. That's something I wanted to talk about. Like our players were knackered at the end of that PSG game. So
chasing shadows, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Not used to the intensity yet again because of the poor training standards. Kirkes and Frimpong, who starts at right back? Because Gomez, you probably don't go 3 games in a row. Frimpong, I imagine, plays against PSG. It's going to be Szoboszlai right back.
It'll be Szoboszlai.
Curtis Jones probably a right back. Curtis Jones, I'd say.
I remember I was on Sky a few months ago and I go, how have we been in the situation that we've spent 450 million and we're playing our best player at right back week in, week out? It makes no sense. But I mean, I know injuries obviously with Bradley and Frimpong, but even so, it's just bizarre. It is bizarre. But go on.
I'll always hold the opinion like that. I generally think Szoboszlai is our best right back, but the problem of having him at right back is that you just miss his intensity in midfield. If we had two Szoboszlais and we had one of them in the 10,
well, it's like playing Gerrard. It's like he's your best player. Play him at right back. He's got to be your best player there as well. Do you know what I mean?
I do think that's serious Conor Bradley disrespect.
You think Bradley's better than Szoboszlai?
At right back, yeah.
I disagree, to be honest. In terms of build-up, Bradley was as poor.
They're very
as
different,
Kirk
aren't
at the
they?
start of the season in terms of build-up.
I think Bradley offers you everything in terms of going forward and defensively. And now Szoboszlai obviously offers that from the work right defensively, and then going forward he's miles clear of Bradley. But I think for an all-around right back, if Conor Bradley just could stay fit for longer than 10 minutes, he'd honestly be one of the best right backs in the league.
I'm not sure.
Injuries are the problem. But hot take for midfield, right? I'm fed up with just the options that we have in there. So it's not going to happen. But I would start Trainiani. Why not? Why not?
I'd like to see it.
His cameo.
I'd like to see it.
His cameos are wicked when he's actually so comfortable on the ball, has a bit of personality about him. Gravenberch is going into his shell every time he receives the ball at the minute. When was the last time we saw a Gravenberch turn?
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
He tried one last night. And he just got absolutely bullied.
Yeah, their midfield said, "Nah, not happening."
Yeah,
so I would get Nyoni in because I'm at the point where I'm just fed up. And Jones
but then you run the risk.
Like that.
Then you run the risk of like over rotating. Like I said, like we actually are in a Champions League race here still. Well, we cannot be playing Europa League football next.
But whoever plays instead of him is going to be shit as well.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Full season.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
The first full season of the Kop Four, we'll have to change the times because we're playing on Thursday night.
That's literally what me and Liam
my
said.
God,
Wednesday. Coming to you every Monday and Wednesday. Actually, it wouldn't even be Monday because when the teams that play Thursday nights always play on Monday night as well, don't they? Because obviously they don't get the Saturday.
Oh, great. Coming to you on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Fridays. Yeah, no Friday stream, but
rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I think listen, I think Chelsea are really, really bad. Like we're bad, and they are also really bad. It was confirmed the other night that it is going to be 5 places, so like that's set in stone now. So I think it's just about who can be least shit, like who can just get like.
Well, Everton could nick it, though. I feel like they could end up finishing above us if we really don't cop on.
That is mental.
They're going to beat us. They're going to beat us.
Yeah,
they will be. It's the most obvious 3-0 win.
Let me just go through, right? We'll just look at Liverpool's fixtures. We have 7 fixtures left, right?
This should be
we win 3 of them max. We win 3 of them max.
Right. So I'll just do the Premier League, okay? Because we're probably not going through against PSG. So Liverpool, Fulham, score or win or loss. Just do win, loss, draw.
Score.
Win, loss, draw.
Draw.
Okay, Everton, Liverpool.
Draw.
Loss.
Right. Well, so that's 1 point from the 6. Liverpool, Crystal Palace.
Win.
I think we'll win that.
Okay, so 4 points from 9. Man United, Liverpool.
Yeah, that's a loss.
Loss. 100%.
4 points from 12. Liverpool, Chelsea.
Win.
Draw.
Got to win. That's going to be one that we have. It's a night game at Anfield.
That's probably the decider as well. It's probably the decider.
It's been moved to an evening kickoff, hasn't it?
No, it's early kickoff in here.
Oh, lost.
It's a draw. It's a draw, I reckon.
And then Villa away, last game of the season.
I think we beat Villa.
Draw, I reckon.
That's go on, Max.
I was going to say a loss, but
a loss. So that's probably like like even at that, like that's what 6 points from 18. No, 6 points from 21.
We got Brentford as well, right?
Brentford at the end.
Oh yeah,
I think we win that. Salah's going to have his best game of the season that game, so
that's not here. It's because it has to be rescheduled.
Okay.
No.
Draw.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say that's from 21 games. That's 9 points.
Wow.
That's not getting us Champions League. That's not getting us Champions League. Like
change the manager.
Can you get Chelsea's fixtures up by any chance? Like, do they have a difficult run in?
Yeah, they have a difficult one. That will put us on 58 points if we got 9.
They still have to play United, don't they? Pretty sure.
Yeah, so they've they just lost Everton. So they're playing City next.
Okay.
City away from home. Then they have Man United at home. Then Brighton away.
Okay.
They have Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. And then there's a fixture here they don't have. But they're playing Forest at home, Liverpool away, obviously, and then Spurs at home.
I tell you what, we're getting Champions League, lads. We're getting Champions League just by being
Spurs at home on the last game of the season. That could be like a
Jordan
Champions League relegation.
Lads, Jordan Henderson is captaining Brentford to the Champions League. I'll tell you now, seriously. They're only like 2 points off us as well.
There's an opportunity to create a gap on Chelsea then this weekend. What is it? Would it be 4
Yeah.
points?
Yeah.
But every time we've had that
I've no
opportunity this
faith.
season,
No
every time we've
faith.
had that opportunity this season, every time that Chelsea had a period where they drew, I know we drew with them as well, but they drew with Burnley and Leeds back to back, and somehow like, we didn't create a gap on them.
We did the same thing though as well.
That's what I mean.
It is shit versus shit. It's whoever's least the least.
Yeah,
shit.
whoever's least shit. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back on Monday to talk
We'll be
about it all.
back to talk about a positive result.
Positive or
Me and
negative,
Max are
whatever.
going to be so
Whereas
depressed.
positive or negative, we will be back. But yeah, that concludes the live stream, folks. If you enjoyed the video or the live, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. As I said, we want to make this the biggest Liverpool community out there, and we have a lot more content coming up. So as I said, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, appreciate all the support so far. See you later, guys.
See you later.
Peace.
In a bit. Bye bye.